recovery. They still need to really look at, you know, healthy relationships in their family, if they're a dad or a mom. Well, I'm very oriented by our MFT theories, and so I incorporate a lot of those, but some staples that I usually do with clients have to do with rituals, rules, roles, boundaries, very structural stuff in their family and in their recovery. I mean, recovery, think of it this way: addiction thrives in chaos. Addiction thrives in chaos. And so I revert to a lot of things that develop structure for them, so that, because recovery thrives with structure. And so I try to really focus that way with a lot of things. You know, the goals for family members is, because by this time it's like, oh yeah, they're approaching the end of the program, and they're going to get a certificate. Remember, contingency management. They're going to get a certificate that they completed the program, and it's so cool. They're just going to go then, like maybe once a week to see their therapist, but it's going to taper off because they're not going to be that busy. So for family members, you know, it's about accepting limitations of living with someone in recovery. It's a big deal. It's not going to be over. That after treatment, this person may still continue to be engaged in recovery-oriented activities that help them maintain their sobriety. And so they got to accept that. Because, again, what are the family members thinking at the time that they're about to get the certificate?
They're done.
We're done, yeah. Thank you for paying attention. Chocolate for you. That's but they think we're done, you know, and so, but some of these activities may go on. And somebody asked me yesterday, could you say that relapse is part of recovery? Because you guys wanted to go drink tonight? No. Did I say that in front of everyone? Relapse is not part of recovery, but it could be. And it's something that you could use. It's a useful thing if it happens, if you know how to turn it into a useful thing. It's a painful thing, right? But it's a useful thing that you could. So I usually share with clients that relapse could be. It doesn't have to be, but it could be. So that if you relapse, let's sit down, let's work through that together. And there's stuff that actually guides you in the workbook to be able to do that with clients in a very simple way. It could happen even during this time. And some of the other things that family members really need to do is they have to be patient with that recovery process. That this is a lifelong battle for a lot of people. It's not something that, you know, ends here. They got the certificate, they graduate. Like some programs say they graduated. I hate that word. I really do. I mean, when did you graduate from, you know? So, but achieving success into maybe completing a program is good, but graduating is a little too much. And so, I have a ton of relapse issues. I've given you some examples. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. But I've given you samples of what clients actually say as reasons for relapse, just for you to relate, use them in your therapy. So, I do want to take a moment, though, to do something else, because I see a lot of you are like, yeah, it's. I told you it's going to go downhill. After that food settles, what, then takes about 20 minutes. You guys just finished the food before we started. Now it's about time for a nap. So before we take a nap, we're going to do an exercise. So I'd like to split. Not yet. Don't start rolling yet. But we'll split into two groups. But before we do, I want to give some instruction. So you have the manual, and each group needs to pick a facilitator. So maybe these two tables you guys go together, and these two tables you guys go together into one group. You pick a facilitator, and we're going to do some exercises. I would like for the facilitator to read, not from the counselor's manual for the module that I assigned you, but just to read the portions of that, because we're not going to do a full hour of a thing. So read the relapse prevention A, right, to the group, and then just start having a discussion with them how to do that. And then I would like for you guys to use my props that I'm giving you now as a way to enhance the understanding of that module. So how many of you come from seasides? Near the seaside, near the oceans. How many of you love ships? How many of you love ships? All right. Good, good, good. So this module uses ships as a way to illustrate what it wants to say, to develop these strong mooring lines that keep a person in recovery. Think of Hurricane Katrina. Anybody remember that? Okay, a lot of ships just were swept into the ocean. Why do you think that happened?
Strong
No
water.
idea? Huh?
Strong water and wind.
Strong water and wind. Yes, strong water and wind was causing a lot of ships to be swept into the ocean. But some were not swept into the ocean. Why do you think they were able to resist?
A lot of support.
Huh?
Support.
Support?
Good anchor.
Good anchor?
I don't know.
You don't know? That's all right.
She said they had structure.
They have structure, yes, so they have, yes, you're very right. So the heavier the boat, the better, you know, the chances are sometimes. But a lot of times the anchoring, and that has to do a lot more than the, yeah, what else? I can't hear you, what?
I was going to guess mooring lines were tight and held them safe.
Yeah, it's a great guess, sir. That's a great, did you check that on Facebook? No, it's but I grew up near the ocean, and I had a cousin of mine that sometimes I would stay at their house on weekends when I was coming from a dorming school to spending time with them. And he was a captain of a ship. And every weekend that there was a bad weekend, there was a storm, he was out of the house to his ship. And he was going to check these ropes and make sure everything was tight. And he was going to put additional ones to make sure that it was going to stay there and weather that storm. You know, and sometimes recovery, you know, when we talk about, you know, walking up and down an escalator, it really is like that. It's a storm for some people. And they don't know how to develop. Have you guys heard about, like, we develop a relapse prevention plan, right? A lot of agencies do that. You work in an addiction place a little bit too, right? You mentioned. So a lot of people do that. This is one module that helps you facilitate that process of developing a recovery plan and knowing what tools work, right? So we're going to improvise as if there are two ships. So you guys, those two here, this is your ship right here. You guys have a much better ship. Check this out. This is your ship. Who wants to sit on it? Come on. This is your ship. Well, you're the captain, so sit down.
All right.
So see if you can sit. I mean, I know it's not perfect. Yeah! Yeah, you can get it perfect. Who wants to roll him around? Yeah, roll him around. That's your guys' shit. All right. So I'd like. Do we have any blank pieces of paper, a notepad? Anybody has a notepad?
Do you want?
So, well, you can take that for your group, help your group out with it.
Okay.
So I'd like for you maybe to be the note taker for your group, and you guys, you want to bring that shit more to the middle? So all right, awesome. So let's have the group out here, everybody out here, and we'll just put maybe like a couple of chairs around them. We'll improvise, right? Awesome. So you guys will bring the chairs. You can actually see them if you want to. And the rest will stand. So who's going to be the group facilitator here? Who wants to be? Who read the module? That was the wrong question. Who has the module in front of you? Awesome. So I'd like for you to read it to them, and I'd like for you to use these as rope, all right? That they're going to use to tie that ship, all right?
Okay.
To any of the legs of these chairs around, so that it can weather the storm and stay in place. And each mooring line needs to be identified with a marker saying what that is. Right, so you guys come up with it as a group, what that is. You guys are lifting there too, right? You're doing the same. So you write it out, maybe if you have a marker on the big letters so we can read, and just hang it over the string, tie the string to it. So each string is a mooring line, right? And then each mooring line is identified by the group that is. You write it out and link it in there. You guys will come up with a list. That, in and of itself, will be your recovery plan. Or if you want to call it your last prevention plan. Most people in the field might call it recovery plan. Got it? So if you want to spin him around, do that too. Just don't throw him off or anything. All right, have fun. And then you guys, we don't have a ton of space, right? So why don't we come here on this space?
I know.
And this is your ship. Alright, we'll sit in it. You can sit in it. Hey, I have the wheels for this. Do you want the wheels like that?
Upside down table.
Let's bring one with wheels. Do you want one with wheels? Yeah, that's hard. So who's the facilitator here?
He's just further in his
Who's the note taker? Who's the facilitator? Here you are. You are the facilitator. She'll take notes. And you guys will develop the mooring lines. Maybe you can tie him to like these here and maybe a chair. Do you want one with wheels? I can bring you one.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So discuss the module, right?
Oh, there you go.
Read it. Discuss it. I'm gonna bring something with wheels.
Oh, I thought maybe. Wasn't it? Oh, yeah. He's got some money. Yeah, I think you gave them each one to me. Now we're gonna
Yeah.
make sure you're eating food.
Did you get a soup?
You got a supplement?
No, I got one.
What was the soup good? Let me see if I can find some.
I'll help you out.
Yeah, this one.
All right, here you go. You got a better ship now. Yeah. Joe's transportation.
First thing we're alive was the second lunch. Right? Yeah. I was like, I.
Read the thing. Yeah. So this part is
Oh.
So if you need to do it, I'll do it.
Oh, he said this is like.
Oh, okay. You have learned new behaviors that keep you in recovery. These behaviors are more in line to keep your recovery steady and in place. It is important to track the new behaviors and check every week to make sure the lines are secure. Dropping one or more of the mooring lines allows you to drift towards the legs. Use the chart below to list activities that are important to continuing with the tires. If there are specific people or things you need to list those. Check your list each week to make sure you're continuing to stay anchored in recovery.
So you actually checked that just for You check that weekly, but for now, you gotta develop what those are. So, awesome. If you need me to cut that real quick.
What else?
So more lines is the thing that's gonna
We
keep.
got it, we got it.
How about positive,
There you go.
positive behavior people?
Yeah, do it.
Ja, just volgen.
So more lines are represented.
People, do we want to tie in the place? We were supposed to tie it into the, yeah.
Oh.
So when is that?
Break it, or do you wanna just do like one thing together?
Yeah, just like, yeah.
So you get there, right? But it could also be like what other people
Yeah.
need more in line.
You relaxed already. There's no hope for you.
What is this? Is this health?
This is CrossFit.
CrossFit.
Alright, we're getting it.
What is CrossFit?
What is CrossFit?
Oh,
I don't want too loose. So you're specific.
Oh, okay. That was.
Meal prep. So it sounds like
You can
use
cut it,
CrossFit meal
I
prep.
can-
It'll be stronger this way.
Okay.
Strong lines.
Avoiding the
I'm not president of stop anymore. You took them off my Facebook. He's not checking anymore.
Wait, is that, is Gustavo like a supportive person?
No, he
Yeah,
wasn't.
avoiding
He was
that.
just-
Okay.
He was in recovery with me. And I kept the absence. It's not good at all.
And it's bad
I was
when
gonna
you
take you guys
Facebook.
some
It's
pictures.
horrible.
I deactivated it.
Do we, are we supposed to have like bigger?
Oh, yeah, avoiding.
Well, she's gonna, I thought you guys had a notebook.
Oh.
I gotta take a sticky notes.
Write them, you can write them as big on a notebook.
Big?
Big
Oh, and then put
notebook
the-
page, and then hang them through the lines.
Oh, that's cool, because identification of what these things were.
Yeah. Awesome.
CrossFit meal prep. Avoiding this.
And then just like doing some scissors. I think so. This is very more into
If you want, I could just.
Yeah.
Over here, because it needs scissors.
Here, let me
Yep.
try.
No, I can't bring that unless you can.
Let me try.
Let's go. You're used to this. That's
It's
fine.
okay. No, I'm not
You got
used
the
to it,
muscles.
but You just try.
So we can just like.
Yeah, here, I'll break some so you can use.
There you go.
No, you try it over there.
You can tie it onto the thing, or you can tie it onto the blue thing.
Breaking some so
I accidentally.
I do.
I'm like, I was.
Here you go. No problem.
Are we doing social media, avoiding social media?
So eventually, yeah.
Here's another one.
Does the Netflix and chill?
Yeah, Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill, yeah.
Here's another one.
What's this? Is there something?
If you need more.
I feel like we should, do we have enough, or like most of them, like, are we okay?
There's another line right here that can go. Okay. Were you traveling too?
That is sugar, mine do not travel.
So, are you traveling? Did we say Netflix?
Netflix.
Are we avoiding Netflix?
Do Netflix.
Okay.
Watch
It's
TV.
helpful for your Push your butthole.
What about apologizing? How about like spiritual?
Making amends.
Okay, stop numbering.
What about like meeting with like a recovery, like your peer mentor or your sponsor? Yeah, like we talk about like in
Probably gambling, they took over the 72 hours without talking to each other.
So is this just like coping strategy?
Just so that they're boring, like if I'm feeling triggered.
Yeah.
So I can
So you got about 5 more minutes.
Building relationships.
5 more minutes of finalizing what they are.
Rebuilding relations, I think that's like.
That's a good one. Sleep it off. Schedule sleep. Yeah. Sleep hygiene.
So like legit. That's pretty cool.
I like trash back there. Like it's so.
I know.
Did you know what food? Picture not aware.
Yeah, the food prep.
Oh, Bill.
Oh yeah, when is
Volleyball, scheduled once a week.
Oh, isn't that creative?
It's like a thing within like recovery. It's like sleep.
There's a chair over there we can probably grab too.
Starts with an H. Or it's like hungry.
The chair is right there.
Oh, sorry. Pulse. Yes.
Oh, somebody's lonely, tired.
Do we have a lonely? Yeah. Okay. So lonely, angry, like tired. Yeah. I think. How about the spiritual? Oh yeah. What helps us? Oh, mindfulness. Yeah. Mindfulness.
Wow.
Music. Further back, or there's something in the back. It's important. Yeah. No, he says life.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right.
You don't want to replace it.
Yeah, if we're sexually, let's not.
I think about relationships in recovery, they don't encourage you to be relationships because
Yay.
Great for coming.
yeah, like you're pretty good. That thing is not going nowhere.
So you guys are good?
Yeah.
And you were one of the anchors?
She's my sleep.
Okay, so
She's my sleep.
about 30 seconds to wrap it up, unless you kind of know. So where did you find it?
I didn't know no one was a client.
What they did is they identified him as the client. So that's the question. No problem.
Nice to have someone to project on.
Okay, you guys are done? Cool. All right, so both groups are done. So what we're going to do is, since we have some living anchors over there, we're going to start with them. Tell us about like what you. First of all, how was this process? You're analyzing it now. What will you remember this? What you just did here, and why? And what were the mooring lines you came up with?
So we talked about HALT, the acronym for
Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. That's excellent. Look at that.
And we address those specific things like scheduled sleep, meal planning,
Scheduled sleep. Oh, you said CrossFit, visiting temple, like spirituality.
Meal prep.
checking in with our sponsor.
And you put in how many times a week each activity needs to be done, I see that. Yeah, what else? What is self-pleasure?
Endorphins.
Dopamine.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else do we have? Hiding from a friend?
Avoiding.
A
bad influence.
Sponsor meetings, like every 72 hours.
So seeing a sponsor at least every 72 hours, visiting a temple,
Netflix.
Netflix,
Avoiding social media.
avoiding social media. What is that?
Gustavo, that's like the bad influence friend.
Gustavo is not a good guy. No, Gustavo is not cool. So you need to avoid
It's not
it.
making the cut.
CrossFit.
CrossFit and then meal prep.
So sit out loud. So, do you guys hear what they said? Alright, so
That says meal prep and then this one says CrossFit.
twice a week meal prep, is that what that is?
I just said, wait, that was just like number, but we
Oh, okay. And what's the other one?
CrossFit.
CrossFit, and then volleyball about
Once a week.
once a week, and I can't.
Scheduled
sleep. Self-pleasure.
Scheduled sleep, self-pleasure,
Netflix.
and then,
Sponsor meetings.
yeah, sponsor meeting, which we went
Yeah.
to.
What is that?
This one says avoiding social media.
So, let me ask you, what was fun about this? What was exciting about this? I didn't bring a ship, I didn't bring a boat, I didn't bring
I think for me it was just like stuff that like this is very like personalized kind of. So like just like going with like CrossFit, meal prep, and like the stuff that I would do. These are my supports for me to live like healthy and better. So I think this is something that if I was in this position, these are things that would like are resources and support to bring me back up. Or keep me
So in a
going.
way, you personalize, you say, okay, I'm having the whole group do it for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's cool. Hey, you gotta use people around you. And so, what it did for you is it developed some things that you need to do that are helpful for you. Now I wonder if there's anybody here that sees things on this list that you think could be similar to yours. For your, like, what?
Sleep hygiene, like regular sleep schedule and.
Okay, regular sleep schedule for
Like spirituality, so going to church.
spirituality, so going to church, which he has temple,
Temple,
you have
spiritual,
church,
yeah.
right? So it connects you with that, for you to maybe put that as a activity, or is that more in line for yourself? What else?
Meal prep.
Social media, and what?
Meal prep.
Meal prep, what else? Anybody else?
Netflix.
Netflix, okay, so identifying sometimes that I want to do that instead of maybe going out with Gustavo.
Gustavo.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah, so it's cool. Well, what will you remember, just plainly, out of this exercise?
I think having a physical representation of him connected like that, it shows that he's grounded. I think by all of these things, like they're keeping him, like you talked about being anchored. And so there really was like no limit to how many things we actually could have come up with.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing that you could always find some way to find support or find connection or find a way to avoid those negative behaviors.
Yeah, that is, because I didn't think about like how he looks right now
Yeah.
too. Yeah, he looks like, okay, he's not nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. He can't get out to hang out with
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that's very cool, yeah.
Kind of highlights, like I'm sitting here thinking if I was in your spot, like it highlights of like, oh, I need to do that this week because I can't afford to have that gone or that gone or that gone. Like it kind of highlights how each one is important to.
So what he's doing is now you start personalizing it for yourself to develop your own plan.
I like the group interaction and like the feedback. Kind of some things were, some suggestions were made and it was like, well, maybe that's not a good idea because it can lead to this. So like I think relationships, like being involved in a relationship was probably not a good thing because of the fact that it's emotional. He's going through rehabilitation, so maybe that's not good for right now. So the interaction and the feedback that we gave and the support we gave to him was
So he was thinking, okay, I got this chick over here, or this guy over here, whatever, you know, and I want to go out with them, and you're saying, look, what probably, sometimes I tell them that what you guys have in common is disease.
Right.
Sickness.
Right.
And maybe 2 sick people is not helpful at this time together, you know? Good point.
I think because some people made suggestions and it didn't quite fit, and then we would always go back to him and be like, well, what would work for you? And like, so the importance of not having a blanket relapse prevention that you ask the person.
That's awesome, and think about it, you guys are all trained therapists now, but I swear, this is what my clients do, exactly what you did. They come up with all these things that you actually came up with, and they discuss them, they, you know, sometimes do tell the person that's there, saying, hey, I don't think that's cool for you, man, you know, this is not good at this time, or, I mean, it's a powerful tool, you know, to really use in doing groups. And you leave from here, and you had 4 hours with me, I can guarantee you'll say, oh yeah, we remember that thing with the ship. Right? You won't remember maybe anything else, but you'll say, I remember that thing with the ship. But that's what, but that's what clients remember when they leave your office. So if you're able to use things that you may have. Now I know there's this therapist in St. Louis that went through this matrix training, and he bought all the inflatable devices he could buy. He literally does have like the inflatable ships in his office and all kinds of cool things. He's got a broken car because there's a module on stress with a broken car, and he actually has a car that he has in there that he uses as a prop, you know, for his session. You don't have to go that far, you know, but you can simply improvise with things that you have in hand and come up with something. Good job. Let's give them a hand. I want you guys to relax now, but don't go to your seats since they didn't. Let's hear what they have to say and do some comparison.
It only works if you're in the back.
All right, so who was the facilitator? You were. Tell us about it.
So every day sort of works to come up with some different ideas about things that help them stay moored, stay anchored here. The first one was something about, I think, things to avoid there. That was avoiding parties, and so they come with some positive activities to engage in. It's like going to AA meetings there 2 times a week. Engaging in positive relationships.
Therapist, friend, sponsor, pastor, 1 time a week.
So we talked about some other like exercises, like this one is being in nature, and go for a walk, by the ocean, and yoga, swimming, go to the gym, rowing 3 times a week. I think we also try to come up with a physical activity, like how often to do these things there to kind of replace the drinking, the drug use, and the volunteering, giving back. This is Tuesdays and Thursdays, go to the animal shelter, walking with dogs. And this was a like cooking one. This was also, I like this one here, because rebuilding your relationship with this mother there. So you go cooking with mom, somebody said, well, what if mom is not there? Maybe you could make something for mom.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. And look how different they are, right? You know, there's a few that are similar, but some of them are different. You know, there's a lot of things that you do. Great job, and I like that both groups have like they're kind of measurable and easy to do. You know, not like I go to Disneyland. You know. Cool. How was the process for you guys?
Yeah, the exact same thing that group did, where it was everyone was kind of going back to him and saying, you know, what did you like to do? What kind of physical activity do you like? And things like that, so that it wasn't just, like they said, like a blanket statement, and it also wasn't us just saying like, oh, multi-skill activity is a great idea, so that's something you're gonna do. If that's something that he's completely disinterested in, it's just not gonna help him, so.
It's also fun, I like the physical experience of tying up the line, cutting them up, and tying them and actually physically securing something while we're talking about metaphorically securing something. And at one point, we had like a few over here, like, oh, well, we gotta make up more so that we can have it secured all around, you know, like it actually motivated us to think of more things.
And I also think giving him options, so even though we have structure, so we could easily said go to the gym, which is a very specific form of activity, but saying go swimming, yoga, or something else, that way they have structure, he has some flexibility to like regain that autonomy over their life.
Yeah, where they have a say of what activity they do, yeah.
One thing that stood out to me was one of the lines actually broke, and so we just ended up tying the yarn again because it was so fragile. So it's kind of like even the lines, you know, if something happens, you can tie them together and go from there. So.
Yeah. It could be something, and writing those down, what I have them, there's something called a treatment companion that goes along with the matrix. It's a smaller workbook, really to put in your pocket, presumably with a 3x5. I haven't had a lot of luck in clients carrying that around. Some do. So it works for some people, but not everybody. But what we usually do after such an activity is that we have them write them down into that companion book in addition to the workbook. That way they kind of have them with them. The companion book is, how many of you have heard of, like in addiction treatment, there's something called, they call it the 911 card. It really, like you put the picture of a loved one that means a lot to you, and you put numbers of 3-4 people that mean a lot to you in that card, and you carry that with you. It's supposed to be a deterrent to a relapse by you looking at it and saying, I can't do that because of this person. But if you're about to relapse, you got the numbers of these other people you call and they talk you out of it. So the companion, treatment companion, has information sort of like that, you know, it's a similar thing. But once they write them on the workbook, they each write them on their own workbook, and they stay there. And we do tell them that the workbook is yours, you know, and they write them out, and then they